Hello and welcome to the Liverpool Way podcast. The Reds have suffered a shootout defeat against Crystal Palace in the Community Shield at Wembley following a 2-2 draw in normal time. The traditional pre-season curtain raiser began well with goals for new boys Ekitike and Frimpong, but the FA Cup winners pegged the champions back twice and looked more dangerous as the game went on. While it's disappointing to miss out on the ceremonial silverware, the performances of Ekitike and Florian Wirtz offered a taster of what's in store this season. Meanwhile, it looks like the new look back four is very much still a work in progress. I'm Chris Smith, and joining me tonight are TLW editor Dave Usher and Julian Richards. Dave, welcome back to your podcast. Plenty to talk through after that one, but what's your biggest takeaway from the Wembley run out?
Quite a few questions have come out of it. First thing to say is, it's not a defeat. It was a draw and then it goes to penalties. I mean, I'm old enough to remember when it was 6 months each after a draw. So not bothered that we haven't won. That means nothing. Also want to point out that a lot of teams, like the way they gear up, it's not about being ready for the Charity Shield, it's about being ready for next week. And a lot of teams in the couple of weeks leading up to the first game hammer the training. So you often will be heavy-legged, and that's what it looked like to me in the second half today. We looked very heavy-legged. So not really bothered so much about that. But defensively in pre-season, we've shipped a lot of goals. It doesn't look right. Some of it's just individual errors, but it's more than that. We've looked vulnerable on counter-attacks. Could just be because we've had a change in midfield in front of them. We've not had your settled line-up. The system's changed as well because now we're playing with an actual number 10 and then sort of 2 sitting. So there's a lot of things need figuring out. You've also, so based on today's line-up, almost half of the outfielders were new. So 4 out of your 10 are new players. So you're bedding in new players, you're bedding in a slightly new system, all of that stuff. So all of that's got to be taken into context. But we are having our first game next week. The season starts next week. And it's do we look ready? Hard to say. You'd have to say probably it doesn't look like we're ready. But Arne Slot's going to know more than we do about where we're at progression, because he'd be trying different things out, looking at does this work, does that work, all to do with just getting ready for the first game. It's not about being ready for Palace at Wembley, much as it's a showpiece game because it's at Wembley, but I'd say it's more than a friendly, but it's not quite a competitive game either. It's sort of somewhere in between. It's not exactly a pre-season friendly, but it's not really important either. But I did not like the second half, and I'm trying to tell myself that it's just to do with tiredness and just getting ready for next week, and maybe there was some heavy legs, and we did have some players missing, but that shouldn't matter. We've got a big enough squad that should not be. Oh, we haven't got Ryan Gravenberch, and you can't use that as an excuse. I've seen some people saying, "Oh, we really miss Ryan Gravenberch today," and I'm thinking, well, that's kind of why Curtis Jones is in the squad, and you're supposed to have your 2 players for every position, and we had Curtis and Dom in midfield today, so it's not like we've just put in 2 academy kids or something. So you should be able to cope with, if anyone really, other than Virgil, I think you should be able to cope with, and you could say Mo as well probably, but based on today's performance, we wouldn't have really missed them. But you know what I mean? It's you can't say, well, he's not there, so we missed him and things will be better when he's back. Well, what if he's not there in 2-3 weeks when we've got a game? Well, Gravenberch's not going to be there next Friday because he's suspended. So, yeah, I don't think any of that missing players thing, it's not relevant, because that's why you've got a squad. Encouraged by certain things I've seen in the first half, specifically Ekitike and Wirtz. Second half, it fizzled out after about 5 or 10 minutes, but then Ekitike gets brought off, so he's not really part of of what followed. But I don't like playing with no strikers. I didn't like it last season, even when we won games.
Yeah.
It's not for me. I don't like that style of football. And as soon as he came off today, it just looked like we didn't really have anything, which is fine in a game like that today. But if that happens in a league game and you haven't got anybody to bring on, then I'll say you haven't got anyone to bring on, but Chiesa sat on the bench, couldn't get on. There was some talk Slot had said about he can play through the middle. He said it the other week, and then he doesn't get on. We need to talk about Rio Ingamoa, why he didn't get on today. I cannot think of any possible reason why you would not give him 20 minutes today based on the pre-season he's had. Just utterly bizarre to me, but I'm sure we'll get to that later anyway.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Jules, just to bring it back to Dave briefly raised Ekitike and Florian Wirtz's performance. I thought that was the two highlights for me. Ekitike, I thought, was excellent. He looks really intelligent, like strong, pacey, like some brilliant, nice little touches, some good link-up play with Wirtz as well. And I think we really got an idea of what those two together can bring, as well as individually. So, what did you make of all that?
Yeah, from what I've seen of Ekitike, I hadn't seen him play before he signed. Um, Very early impressions are. I'm quite impressed with him. He's got a running style I feel quite like, reminds me of Henry. Now, that's not to say he plays like Henry, but just stylistically when he runs, he reminds me of Henry. Now, if he can bring
Big
us
lad
half
as
of
well,
what
isn't he?
he is a big lad,
Like
yeah, he is. I mean, if you put him next to Frimpong, everyone's a big lad. But
yeah.
yeah, he
Did you
is. He's
see
got
when he was stood next to Verge on
Yeah, it was
one of the
ridiculous,
corners?
wasn't it?
That was
Yeah.
ridiculous. It was like that picture of Kevin Hart when he's looking up at Shaq.
But yeah, he's got the gait. He's got the speed. He looks like he's got the technical ability. It's very early days. Wirtz has looked like $1 million since he's come in. So there's no real surprise there that whoever he links up with is looking good. Um, I didn't. I didn't find. I'm not that downbeat by this. It is, as Dave said, a half friendly, half real game. It's a real friendly, if you like. It's not one or the other. You'd like to win it, but if you don't win it, it really doesn't. It shouldn't affect your day that much. Although I will say, the penalties were awful. Like, lads, you meant to be professional footballers. What's going on here? Like, that's not acceptable to take penalties like that. Half-assed, listless. If Mo's changed his penalty taking style, he needs to, routine. He needs to change it back very quickly. Otherwise, he won't be on penalties. It'll be Dom on penalties when he's on the pitch. I'm not as downbeat about how we play than Dave is. I think the second half when Ekitike did go off, it did start to sort of get away from us. And yes, to have a focal point striker, to have someone who's with a bit of pace up front, obviously gives you an outlet if you get him pinned back. And there were options on the bench. Chiesa scored at Wembley more recently than Mo, so you could bring him on, or that, I suppose, all that kind of stuff. Ultimately, the only question I have coming from it is, like, last year we saw Slot use a very small pool of players, and the squad's bigger, and we've rounded it out, and we've spent some big money in theory to, like, there's two quality left backs, for example. We've got, like, good attacking options. I don't really want to see. There should be a better type of rotation of options coming off the bench in these situations. I suppose what I'm saying is, situationally, I would expect, not to go without a striker, to put someone through the middle, to try and, Dave's right about, like, if you've got someone who's, like, lively on the left-hand side and Gakpo wasn't that lively on the left-hand side, then maybe you bring the lad on who's been lively just to, because don't you deserve that chance? Is pre-season not a chance to sort of stake your claim for these things in the future? So I do take all that on board, but again, it's the Community Shield. I think the only real concern I have from it, and a legitimate concern, is we were shipping goals at the end of last season. We were shipping goals in pre-season, and we were shipping goals today, and that has to stop. And again, Dave's right. It doesn't matter if Gravenberch is there. In theory, Endo and a combination of McAllister, Szoboszlai, and Jones should be able to protect the back four a bit more. But conceding big chances and ground and goals like that is not it'll be like a Brendan Rodgers season. You can't outscore everybody, and great attacking football is great, but ultimately, if you don't have a solid defense, you won't win much. You will always need to be able to teams out when needed.
Why do you think
So,
that is, though, Jules? Why do you think the defense isn't solid?
well,
Well, for
today,
me,
like, go on.
if I could
Well, I'll
just
just
come
say
in
my
there,
bit.
because
Yeah, go on.
go on then, go ahead.
I was going to just say real quick, the problem is both fullbacks are different today, right? So there's less continuity than one would like. Continuity can only be built through games, and they haven't had many games. They've had a couple of pre-season and training, but like it's forged in battle, and the Frimpong and Kirkes aren't at the moment. Robbo had an iffy season last year, but I would probably advocate that he start against Bournemouth purely because Kirkes played for Bournemouth, and the theory I have on that.
Yeah.
But that's all I would say is like maybe the full backs. It's just not a cohesive unit. But go ahead, Chris.
Well, I was surprised that Robbie didn't start today, really, because you are starting a lot of new players at the same time. That's, as Dave said, that's 4 out of 10. So for that reason alone, I would have picked Robbo. But picking Kirkes today probably suggests that he's going to be the one who starts next week as well. Mm-hmm. And what didn't help us today, you can talk about the new system with 2 fullbacks pushing on. You can talk about not having Gravenberg there to protect the back 4. Virgil had a fucking shocker today as well. Like, if it works, it could work if he plays well. But if he doesn't, then it didn't. So I think we can't sort of forget that element as well. And I'm sure that's just him getting back up to speed or whatever. It's not something I'm concerned about. But he had one of his poorer games for us today, don't you think?
Yeah, I would say so. I would say that's a fair point. The thing with the fullbacks, it's like what Jules said there. It's right. 2 of your back 4 are new, so that should be a bit problematic to begin with until they all get settled in that. But it's not like the goals that we've been conceding have been looking at it and going, "Oh, this is on the fullback." So, and it's not one particular thing that's going wrong. I just feel like there's lots of stuff like that's not right defensively. It's not like you just go, right, if we fix this, it's all fine. I just feel like there's individual mistakes, maybe not tracking runners. Every time we lose the ball in and around the other team's final third, I always think, they're 2 passes away from a counter-attack on us being in trouble. Now, if you stop those 2 passes, if you counter-press quickly, win the ball, then it's great because you've regained possession and you're near their goal. But when you don't, we do look a bit vulnerable. And I don't want to put too much of this on pre-season because it is pre-season, but I think it was the Milan game, wasn't it? And they just fucking kept tearing us to pieces on the break. But that's not necessarily the 11 players you're going to have as your first choice. So, you've got to take that into account. But they are playing the tactics that the manager wants to play. So there is that too. So yeah, I think defensively it is something that definitely needs sorting out. And even the attack and play, I think sporadically we look absolutely incredible, but it's not sustained for long periods in the games that we've seen, which is fine because it's new players again and everyone's getting used to each other, and you see glimpses of it.
You were saying that last season as well.
Yeah, I know, and that's the fear that I've got. So I'm not just saying it based on pre-season because it was like that last year, but the whole point was that wasn't his team. It's not how he wants to play. And this year, it's all going to be how Slot wants it, and we'll see the real Slot and all of that stuff. And as I say, I'm not making any judgments because it is just pre-season, but it has been sporadically where you see us do stuff and you're like, fucking hell, that was amazing. But then there's a 15-minute lull where nothing really happens. We're not building up that head of steam. But again, it's pre-season. He probably doesn't want us to be building up a head of steam in games like this, where you're playing at a certain pace. But it's the teaser, isn't it? You see these little passages of play and you see Ekitike and Wirtz doing stuff like that and you're like, oh, this could be amazing if it clicks. But you just want to see it. When the real thing starts, I'm hoping it's going to be more sustained periods of that rather than just oh, that was a brilliant move and then nothing happens for 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, fair enough. Jules, would you go along with that?
Yeah, hot today, wasn't it? It's hot. If you had to have a drinks break, I wouldn't be busting a gut too much in that weather when it doesn't really mean anything. Look, you can draw a million conclusions from it, I suppose. We'll only really know when it starts next week. I think we can all agree that there's going to be periods when we're attacking that we are going to look absolute dynamite. And look, I don't expect. Do you really expect to play like that, sustained? Like no one plays like that with a sustained, continued threat. You have to have periods resting with the ball and all that.
No,
kind
that's
of
not
stuff.
what I'm saying. I mean, rather than like just that one move, I don't want to keep going back to Klopp, but like when we were really
But
good
you gotta
under
go back to Klopp.
yeah, we'd have like a 15-minute spell where it was like that wins you the game. We just blew someone away in those 15 to 20 minutes where you're just unstoppable. You don't have to do it for 90 minutes. It's not really, it's not possible to do it for 90 minutes, but I want to see it for like a more sustained period of time, because that's how you win games, because you score 2 or 3 goals in that period, rather than like today we led twice and we ended up drawing. But it's because you don't get that 2-goal cushion. Once you get the 2-goal cushion, more often than not, that's job done. You're not going to blow a 2-goal lead mostly, but it's always one. Even last year, so many games were going into the last 10 minutes.
We had chances. We did still create chances, and we didn't take them. Like Ekitike should have scored a second off that header, second half.
I know, but again, it's sporadic. I mean, like a 15-20 minute spell where you've got them on the ropes and you go, right, okay, this is where we win.
I mean, there is entirely the chance that we're not built for that anymore. Like that just may not be how it's built anymore. So you might have to just live with that. Well, look, you're saying, but like, we are, Arne Slot is not Jurgen Klopp. It's not going to be the same. They're not going to be identical, and that's just a fact of life. It'll be a period of adjustment, and it's better to have some dynamite football than like wet TNT that you can't light because it's damp. It's been in a mine for too long. It's better to have something that will blow up and be good every now and then, rather than like it's never going to blow up.
But he said this himself though, Jules. Like Slaughter said about wanting to get like the 2 to 3-0, and he said like he wants to be
it's
like
only
a
one game
team.
though, Dave, isn't it? And
I know,
like,
and I'm
I'm
just making a general
bring it back a
observation,
bit, like...
and now you're kind of like forcing me into a corner and saying, right, this is your take. No, I was just commenting on like...
I'm not forcing you into anything. You've just been a big negative
No, you've
Nancy.
just gone, it's only one game. I was talking about like pre-season where we've seen flashes where it's been amazing, and I'm saying, moving forward, I want to see that as a more sustained thing rather than sporadic. That's all I've said. I've not said that we can't do it, we're not going to do it. Fucking hell. Totally stitched up.
Jesus Christ. What?
You just stitched me up completely there. I was talking about... I can only judge pre-season. I can't tell you in a month's time. I think what it's going to be like in a month's time, can I? I'm basing it on what I've seen and what I would like to see moving forward.
I would. I think one thing we can't keep harking back to Jurgen Klopp. We've just won the league under Slot, and like as fun as the Klopp era was, and it was really fun. He's gone, and that style of football likely is not going to emerge in that style again. So it's just a case of, it was great, but you can't keep comparing this to that, unfortunately, because you're always going to be left with a slight feeling of emptiness, because that football was very dynamic a lot of the time, and this might be a little bit more cooler, a little bit more calmer, and that's, it might not be for everyone, but... If it's still going to win.
All I said is I'd like us to have like 15, 20 minutes of it. That's it.
Look, I think what I'm trying to say is, look, I've seen a few comments over like the back end of last season. A lot of people who listen to this are saying you can stop going on about Klopp. And to a point, I do agree. Not to look back fondly on his time. You should always look back fondly. It's a great time. But you can't keep comparing that regime to this regime. And I'm just not talking about now, I'm just talking about in general. And if we carry on trying to do that, you'll fall into the trap of being constantly disappointed, because I just don't think that type of football... I think that type of football is slightly going out of fashion anyway. So I just think in the wider football world, you'll see it less at the moment, because these things are always...
Guardiola ruined it.
Nobody plays like that. But that's kind of the point why we all loved it, because no one does that. Yeah. But I'm not expecting that. But I don't think it's unreasonable to say, let's have this great football that we're playing in patches. Let's have a bit more of that.
No, and I know what you're saying.
Slot himself has said that's what he wants. I think we will. I'm just talking about what I've seen so far and what I want to see. That's all. I never said we're not going to do it.
I just think you're putting too much stock into what you've seen so far. Like, I think, I saw enough. I saw enough today.
I can't read the future.
I saw enough today to to believe that there's plenty more to come. Like once everybody gets settled in, like
did I say that there wasn't?
Can I just fucking make a point?
No,
like,
because you totally misrepresented me again.
I'm not. I'm just telling you how I feel about it.
No, you were saying how I felt, and that's not how I felt. That was not what I represented things.
Boy, oh boy. Jesus Christ.
God, if this is just for the pre-season,
I'm pretty sure I feel the same way that you do about it. I wasn't saying we can't do this stuff. I'm saying that's what I want to see.
So, that, like, true or false, right? Based on what you saw today, do you have reason to believe that we'll see more sustained periods of attacking good pressure moving forward?
Absolutely.
Yes or no? Right,
yes.
Okay, great. All right, fair enough. So, there you go then.
Exactly. I was saying that's what I want to see.
Yeah. All right. And we can expect it probably. So
I would
do you know
think
what
so,
though?
Yeah.
There are times when we do have these sustained attacking things, and we just don't put the ball in the net. Like we've missed a good, like I'm sure like anyone can point at more than a few times last year where we had lots of chances and we did not put the ball in the net when we should have, and we could have gone 2 or 3-0 up. So it's a question of finishing in some cases as well. These chances are created, and then we're not putting them away. You probably buy the best striker in the league, I would say. So you fix that.
But it's not just the striker who's missing the chances, though, is it? So
no, but again, you're probably increasing your chances by buying a good striker, aren't you?
That one that Wirtz blazed over the bar today.
Yeah.
I think we should get like 20 million back for that.
I always find that inexplicable that someone with like that ability. And you know when it looks so much worse is when you see it from behind the goal and you're like, he's not even. It's not like he's far out. How are you missing the target by that much from there when you've got that much ability?
I think, well, you had the Wirtz one, you had the Ekitike one, you had the Mo one. Those were three, I can just think of the top of my head, all second half, really good, clear-cut chances that really, I don't know what the XG would be on them, but they were big chances. And
I don't think the XG on the header would be that high.
What?
I know it's a good chance.
That was a goal if he put it a little bit more to the right.
Yeah, it was just that, I don't know, I think
on target, that's nestling in the side of the net for me, that one.
He just made it look a bit awkward, just with his... looked like it was behind him, and I don't know. I mean, it's a chance, but I don't think it's a sitter.
I do.
The Wirtz one's not a sitter because it's 18 yards.
No, I don't think it's a sitter, but I take Chris's point that that's a player of that sustained excellence you'd expect to hit the target, wouldn't you?
If the keeper makes a great save, you're like, it's fair enough, but you can't do that.
No.
Speaking of Wirtz, Dave, I was proper excited today just to see like him gliding around that field. Like he just moves differently to everybody else, I think.
Yeah. Always finds space, doesn't he? Even like that chance that he missed, look how much space he found himself in, and that's not luck. You know, he just drifts into these little pockets and that, but a lot of what he does is not spectacular, but he just knits everything together and playing like the right way to pass at the right angle to like you saw it on the first goal. He's involved in that. He's not done anything like particularly flashy or like
you want the Sam Torrance commentary from Tiger Woods 09. Not flashy, just effective.
Yeah. Well, that's what it was, but he's flashy when he needs to be, but most of what he does is just, it's like it looks simple, but it's not, because if it was, everyone would be doing it and they're not. But just that ability to just knit things together, that's the thing that I've noticed most about him so far. It's not like all like the spectacular stuff, and you know, there's been some of that as well, but it's mostly just like the little way to pass and just finding space and just moving it on quickly, playing the right ball, the right angle and stuff. And that's the impressive thing about him. He's just and you know, he can do the spectacular stuff as well, but most of what he does is just, it's not going to make any highlights packages. You know, people are not going to go, oh, look at this, it's amazing, but he's doing so much of it, like just these little passes here and there. I just think he's going to be like, I think he'd probably be the best player in the league this season.
Yeah. He did that little turn in the first half, didn't he? That was similar to the one that we were all purring about when we saw like the YouTube compilations and all that, where he's in a little tight spot and he turns and he's all of a sudden he's past like 2 or 3 defenders.
Is that the one when I think it might have been Wharton? One of their players was right on him and he stopped running to hold the player off first and then he ran. He did the exact same thing in that Stoke friendly, and he played a pass through, and I someone got tackled, and then Darwin scored. It was the first goal in the Stoke friendly. But it was, he received the ball and he didn't just turn and run like most players would do. He knew he was being like closed down, and he just sort of slowed down just so he could hold the player off, and then he went. But he did that in the first half today. He didn't run immediately. He actually stopped, held the player off, and then he went and got the ball. And like, that's just stuff like that. It's different. You know, not many players do stuff like that. But it's good because he's not the biggest. You know, he's not particularly strong in that, but he uses his body really well. Just clever. He's just really clever for someone his age as well.
Exactly.
Younger than Harvey.
Yeah,
I mean, that's crazy thinking that. Like,
oh man,
yeah.
I've got me thinking now that was potentially Harvey's last kick of a ball for us, and it was a missed penalty in the shootout, which wouldn't be very nice.
We've got a game on Friday, so unless something happens in the next few days, I think he probably, if he's still here, he'll be on the bench, and you'd like to think he maybe will get on late in the game, maybe. Hopefully that's not his last kick for us.
No, definitely
it was
not.
a fucking shocking penalty. Expect better from Harvey, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
You wonder if was it on his mind? Was he thinking like along those lines?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Jules, we touched on the fullbacks before as well. Which of the two today was more impressive to you, or were either of them impressive?
I quite like Frimpong. I think based on like from little I've seen of his interactions with teammates, he just looks like a really lovely fella. He just looks like a really nice guy, like a top fella. So I'm in on Frimpong for that alone. But I like the energy he brings. I think he'll link up well with Mo. Kirkes, I would start Robbo because first of all I'm a big Robbo fan. I always have been. I think they'll end up sharing responsibility, but I would still, Robbo's been here, Robbo's got it. I would start him next Friday, but we'll see how that goes. I didn't think Kirkes was that great today. Defensively, I don't think either of them were really like rock solid, but like last year we had Trent, who wasn't, was quite languid in defence half the time, and then Robbo, who was giving penalties away, so maybe there's not much exchange there. I think my main concern is Conor Bradley's injured again.
Yeah.
Like, come on now.
Have they said what it is?
No.
Because if it's a hamstring again, then that's a massive red flag.
The fact that he's injured again is a massive red flag. And Gomez, again, the original Joe Gomez fan right here, but injured again. These are big gambles, and if there aren't plans for a defender who can possibly, I know it's all the vaunted left side centre back, but if you can't find a defender who can go onto the right hand side, having sold Kwanzaa, you might find in the depths of November, December a problem, because clearly Conor Bradley is not reliable. That would be my main concern. But this is what we've all said before, right? I think Frimpong's going to be dynamite going forward. I think it's going to be really exciting. I liked his energy today. I like what he brought. Obviously, his goal was not intended, but he went in, so who cares? Kirkes,
you got to get yourself in that position to start with, haven't you? Really,
exactly. Kirkes, I feel, is going to be. Everyone was, raving about him at Bournemouth, but I feel he might need a bit more bedding in than we maybe thought, and that he's not going to be as it's not going to be as straightforward with him as it might be with Frimpong. And I think just maybe because Frimpong is so focused on the attack, and it's more eye catching, right, to be bombing forward and to doing these things than some of the defensive work. So maybe that's why I feel that way about Kirkes. Also, Kirkes got a really annoying face, so he's got that going against him as well. Sucks to be him, but there we go. These are the vagaries of life we have to deal with. I would probably look into bed Kirkes in a little bit more, but again, how would you bed them in if you don't start them? It's difficult. Yeah.
Dave, you want to weigh in on the fullback stuff?
I think I know what you're just saying about you'd rather Robbo start on Friday, but I think it's definitely going to be Kirkes.
I think it is too.
The selections in the last few games. Slot's not one for mixing things up too much, you know, like in the games leading up. Like he did it last year, he's doing it now. You can kind of see what the first 11 is by like the last couple of friendlies. So I'd be very surprised if Kirkes doesn't start on Friday. The only thing about him, and it's not something I'm worried about long term at all, but he dives in a little bit. You know, like he doesn't stay on his feet as much.
Come on, Dave. It's only pre-season. He's going to get better at that.
This is based on Bournemouth as well. I'm watching him at Bournemouth. It's not just based on pre-season. So let's not go down that road again. And it's only a slight concern because I really like. I think of the new signings, he's going to be the one I gravitate towards the most. Notwithstanding what Jill said about his annoying face, because I do think he has got an annoying face. I can't dispute that, but it's not something he can do anything about.
Who do you think are our most annoying faces in?
He's up there definitely.
Yeah.
It depends on my mood because there's times when Dom would be right up there as well, and then there's other times I'm like, oh no, he's just got a beautiful face. But it depends on like if he's pissing me off or not. Trying to think.
One to come back to maybe.
Yeah. Cody a little bit.
What?
I don't know why. Just
because you don't like him.
It's not that I don't like him. I just
don't like him.
He's not my favourite. He's
don't like him.
No, I wouldn't say don't like him. It's not that, but I'm just indifferent towards him, really, I suppose. So yeah, I do think that Kirkes starts on Friday, and if Connor had been fit and he'd have played the last couple of games or been available for those games and got some minutes, I would have said he'd start the season. But I think that ship sailed now because even if he comes back into training this week, I think Frimpong's played the last couple of matches, so the shirt is at the moment. And that's really disappointing that we're going into the season and Connor's injured already, you know, because that is the only concern any of us have got. We all think he's going to be a great player, don't we? But that's the only thing that can hold him back, really. It's the only negative I see with Conor Bradley is his body going to be able to stand up to it. And, you know, I don't know what this latest injury is. It could just be that he's picked up a knock, you know, in which case shit happens. But if it was a hamstring again, I'd be concerned. But they fixed Canate, didn't they? Touch wood. He hasn't had any of those injuries, so whatever magic they worked on him, they need to do it on Conor as well, because this is starting to become problematic now.
I think he just needed, above all, he needed a good pre-season, didn't he? Like he needed to be available and firing and just start this, so you're not playing catch up immediately, you know. Just
and he started
really
it. He was available the first few games and he was looking good, and then just as you get to this point where he's putting the first 11 in his mind, you know, he's looking at performances and deciding who's going to be playing in the opening game, and then Connor's taking himself out of it with another injury. It's frustrating.
Are you worried about how small Frimpong is?
Not specifically, but I did think at one point today when I looked at the team, I was like, we have got quite a few short asses in the team at the moment. Now, that's not, for each individual, it's not a problem, but when you've got like 4 of them in the team, you do think, maybe that's going to be a bit of an issue on set pieces. But no, I'm not really worried about Frimpong, because although maybe teams might target that ball to the back post or whatever, but realistically, how often is that going to cost you a goal? Like, it might happen occasionally, but is that going to cost you more than if you've got a fullback who can't run as fast as him? You know, it's,
or if you've got a fullback who doesn't show up at the back post anyway, like you know, like we had previously.
But that's the thing, you can give up goals in all different ways, and maybe that might be something that over the course of a season, maybe twice it might cost us a goal, him getting out jumped at the back post or whatever. But if he's stopping it in other ways, like, you know what Jules was saying about his dynamite going forward and all that, and he might not necessarily be a great defender, but the one thing he is, he's an enthusiastic defender. You see him absolutely fucking sprinting back at like 100 mile an hour just to get goal side and to be there and make it difficult for someone. So even if he might not technically be the greatest defensive player, enthusiasm counts for a lot, and he's definitely got that. You know, you don't have to worry about him not chasing a winger back. You know, he's going to run himself into the ground. You can see that by the way he plays.
He just seems like a likeable fella.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
And we need a bit of that now, don't we, with all the sort of the character players leaving, you know, Diaz and obviously Diogo and Darwin, vacating the premises as well this last week. So we need some more players that we're going to warm to, I think. And I think that I wrote about that this week, and I think it's something that will probably happen over time. And I was probably overreacting, but I just felt a little bit like there are less players that I feel have strong feelings towards than.
I agreed with every word. I thought it was spot on.
All right, nice one. So we've talked about all of the new signings individually. Dave, I don't think you've had your say on Ekitike though. So what did you make of his performance today? And would you be happy if we didn't sign another centre forward? Based on how he's looked so far.
We need to sign another centre forward because we're so low on numbers now. But if you're asking the question about Isak, well, I've consistently said that's not a signing I want us to be making for various reasons. But part of it now is, well, Ekitike, if you're paying that kind of money for him because you believe he's going to be something special, which they obviously do, and the signs are there, you can see like the raw talent and that. If you bring him in to be the man, well, let him be the man. And I feel if you bring Isak in, that automatically relegates Ekitike to like a secondary role where, he'll still get plenty of minutes and stuff. But I just think, well, if you're bringing him in to be your number 9, now let him do it because he looks like he could explode into becoming like a top player. He's not there yet because, I'm not big on stats and stuff, but like his XG, he missed a lot of chances. He's not polished. He's not got that side of it yet. But there's so much to like about him. The thing which one incident, and I was like, he'll do for me, was like just that run that he did in the pre-season game when he just done like the little step over and he just went on the outside, and it was Torres-esque. I know you said about he moves like Henry and stuff, and I'm not comparing him with Torres as such, but just when he did that, and you're like, that was easy. That was so easy, the way he just smooth and he just skinned his man. And I think we scored from it. Didn't he cut it back and wasn't it Mo scored from it?
Yeah, Mo scored. Yeah.
That was, I saw that and I'm like, that'll do for me. And something he did today, just that little deft little layoff on the volley to Wirtz was running inside him, and he just sort of cushioned it with, that was absolute quality. So high hopes for him. Liked what I've seen so far. I'm not even going to make any negative comments about like the clobber he was wearing when he turned up to sign with his handbag and his little teddy bears attached to it.
Well, I'd never heard of those Labubu things until then, and now I see them everywhere. It's one of those things.
Yeah. Because we were talking about it in the chat, and now all of a sudden I'm getting bombarded with adverts for them.
I'm not getting bombarded. I did Google it after you brought it up because I'd never heard of them. But then I saw like someone had stolen thousands of pounds worth of them the other day. So they're obviously a thing. It sounds like a Beanie Baby thing to me, to be honest.
Yeah, but as long as he can play, he can do what he likes. I don't care.
I don't care either. He's a 22-year-old French lad of African heritage. So I don't think us 40-somethings or the 40-somethings who are complaining on it. 50. I was giving you credit there, Dave. So.
I appreciate that.
But what that lad wears is of no concern about us. We've got no right to talk.
He probably looks what we wear and thinks tosses.
I shop in fucking Primark and George Asda. I'm not commenting on what he's wearing.
Mate.
You really have given up.
I'm saying I shop. I don't. Gail does it for me. I don't even shop. Like, she'll just go, I've just got you some jeans. I'm like, okay, sound.
Nice.
Oh, no.
Mate, that's one thing that I'll never cede control over is my choice of jeans. If
I don't like them, I won't wear them. But shop. I'm way past that.
Right. Christ Almighty, what's the world coming to? I mean, if we are going to sign another centre forward and it's not going to be Isak,
it is though, isn't it?
I mean, let's just, for argument's sake, let's say it's not. Like, what level do you think we going for then? Like like a younger, Ekitike is only 22, but like, what's the alternative as opposed to going out and getting somebody that's like a world beater already? Like, do you want somebody?
Ekitike?
Yeah, all right. Well, like
that
like above Chiesa's level, or
yeah. I mean, the fact that Chiesa didn't go on the tour, didn't get brought on today. It's despite what they keep saying, he's clearly he's not in the plans. Slot doesn't have any faith in him. Doesn't want to pick him. We saw that last season. It's amazing that he's still here. To be honest, I don't. Yeah, it is. It's sad. I don't see the point. Like why he's still here when he's clearly got no chance of playing.
He's not Peggy off Exad or anything like that. You know what I mean? He's not some scrub bro. Well, he is being treated like that, but like I don't know. It just feels like he's clearly like whenever you see him interact with the play, he's always positive.
Yeah,
he seems into it. I just
It feels a bit uncomfortable.
Just let him go on a free or whatever. Like don't if you're not going to play him, don't treat him like a jabroni. Just let him go. Fucking hell.
Agree. It's uncomfortable seeing like a player with his reputation and great attitude, and he's just an afterthought. It's like, no.
But I can only assume it's because they haven't had any offers, right? Like, you know, they wouldn't be asking much money for him. They probably sanction a loan deal. Like if
I don't know.
Then just let him go. Oh, they won't.
What,
I know.
Release him.
Yeah, just like if someone comes in on an offer, just like if you feel that way about him, just let I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I always feel bad for him. I really do. I know he's earning a lot of money, so it's one of those. But I do feel like professionally, I do feel for him.
Definitely. Dave Palace, right? Won the FA Cup. The same 11 started for them today that started the FA Cup final. They were good against us at Anfield on the last game of the season. I thought played really well. You know, like they're a good side. So it's not like we should be bummed about only drawing with them in a glorified pre-season friendly at Wembley. You know, fair play to them. Their fans will have enjoyed today as well.
Yeah, it meant more to them, didn't it? And I feel like that showed in the second half.
Yeah, definitely. But did you pay much close attention to Gahey today? Like how he played? Did he impress you, or were you still sort of? I know you're pretty nonplussed by him, but
I thought he was fine. You know, he is what he is. He's not a bad player. I'm not saying he's a bad player at all. My thing with him is if we're bringing in another centre back who is gonna, you know, he'll want to play. He wants to establish himself with England, and that he's not going to come in to just sit on the bench all the time. He'll expect to have a reasonable amount of games. Now, to me, if you're bringing in a number 3 centre back, I want someone who's going to compete for a place. Now, what does he do better than Konate? Maybe he's a better passer of a ball, but not. I wouldn't say there's a massive amount in it. But everything else, I'm like, well, Konate's clearly better at that. If he was coming in to just be like a backup, then sound, he's more than good enough to do that. But he'll feel he's better than that. That's why I think it's just a bit of a strange one for us to be getting linked with him, because I don't think he's at the level that the 2 that we've got in the team. I don't think he's at that level. And to me, if we're bringing in a third one, I'd want someone to be where he could push for a place, and I don't see him. Maybe I'm totally wrong about him, because lots of people rate him very highly. I don't see it myself, but plenty of people rate him highly, so maybe he is good enough to come in and compete for a place, but I just don't see him being that much of a challenger for Konate's spot. I mean, no one's going to take Virgil's place, but maybe like if you're looking at him in a couple of years' time, if he comes in and then when Virgil, it's time for him to move on in a couple of years, maybe they're looking at him with like, he's got leadership qualities. That's one thing, like, you've got to give him. He's their captain. They love him. He's been a good player for them and that. But I just think he's like, I think I said when we first got linked at him, it's like if he's on Footy Manager, he's one of those players, he's like 13 out of 20 for everything. It's not like he's got massive strengths and massive weaknesses. He's just a good all-round player who does a lot of things well, but nothing spectacularly well. And the height thing is a concern for me. He's not particularly good in the air.
Yeah,
maybe we're moving away from that,
and
you know, maybe like that's something what they're looking at. Like, height's not as important anymore, or I don't know, but the height would be a concern for me. I don't know.
Yeah, fair enough. Jules, I know you have reservations about his personal politics and stuff like that. So
yeah, leaving that aside, I feel like he's just going to play out his last year at Palace and go on a free to probably someone like Chelsea. I don't know where the link. Obviously the links have been there for a while, but I don't see that deal getting done, and I don't see us signing him.
We haven't been linked
If
with
we do,
anyone
so-
else, though. That's what makes me think
Um,
there's probably
but
something
we weren't
in it.
really linked with Ekitike until it sort of like the wheels started becoming in motion, did they?
We've been linked to
Yeah.
them on and off for months. Yeah.
I feel like there might be I guess there might be a stealth sign. Oh, we'll get that 19-year-old lad from Parma, maybe. I don't know, but I feel like if he was going to leave Palace, he would have already left. And I feel he's going to stay there for the last year of his contract, try and get in the England squad, and then hopefully do something decent in the World Cup maybe, and then get a good move on a free next year.
Yeah.
I just don't see it. Doesn't smack me as a signing we'll make. To be
Speaking
honest,
of moves on a free next year, I know there was some rumblings that Konate is now closer to signing a new contract than he is to not. But I think I kind of saw through that a little bit. I think those are the noises I'd be making if I was intending to run down my contract so it didn't appear too transparent, right? Like, what are you hearing on that, Dave? Anything?
Nothing, only what
Nothing
I've read.
much? Yeah.
The most recent is that they feel like it's getting closer and it might happen. But I think the difficult thing there is it's easy for us to say, oh, why would you want to leave Liverpool now? You know, like we've just won the league and things are moving forward. We're bringing in all these top players. And that's true. But then you look at the two teams who he's been linked with, and it's kind of like the same for them, isn't it? It's not like he's...
Yeah.
It's not a step down. I'm not saying it's a step up either, but Paris, obviously, that's where he's grew up. So if he fancied going back there to play for PSG, it would like the European champions. You can't say, oh, well, that's like such a backward step. Okay, domestically, the league they play in is nowhere near the level of the league that he's playing in now. So that is a factor. But then the other team who's supposedly in from Real Madrid, and it's like, well, if they're offering him more money, which presumably a lot of it always comes down to money. That's what the thing with Konate is. They reckon he wants 200 grand a week, which I don't think's unreasonable for like someone of his stature playing in a team like this, and he's an established first choice. I don't think it's unreasonable if that's
prime years.
If that's what he's asking for, I'm thinking that's fair enough. I would give him that. But if they don't want to give him that because maybe they think they can get someone in a couple of years younger who's going to be on lower wages, I don't know. That's probably how they're operating, and the club will not be bothered about him going on a free. That's not how they... Like, fans are bothered by that. We look at that and think, oh, we're losing him for nothing. They don't look at it like that. They look at it like it's all to do with like accounting and that. And when they sign a player, it's like a 5-year lease, and at the end of that, you know, they've had their money's worth, and then he's gone. Now, if they get him tied down and then sell him, then great, that's more money, that's a profit in that, but it's not the be all and end all for them. And if he was to leave on a free, like, fans will say, oh, sell him now while you can get money. That's not how they operate at all. It's like, even if they know he's going to leave, which I don't know if they do know that or not, but even if they were aware now he's going to go in a year, they'd probably be fine with him just playing out that year. But I think, you know, if, and it's a big if, because you never know these things, but if he's asking for 200 grand a week and that's the sticking point, you think he'd probably accept a bit less than that maybe, so maybe you can get him tied down to like 180, 190 or something. I just think, why wouldn't you do that? Because it's going to cost money to get somebody in, and there's no guarantee they'll be as good. I just think, yeah, you know, give him the contract if that's the hold up. Now, if it's just a case of he wants to leave, well, there's nothing you can do about that.
I mean, look at all the shit centre-backs we've had down the years. Like, we had a whole decade of them until Sammy showed up.
There's not that many around either. You look around the league now. Who's better than Konate?
Yeah, fair enough. Who better? Yeah, keep it. If he's willing to stay, then keep hold of him for sure. But
it's if though, isn't it? We don't know. Maybe it's. But then if he definitely wanted to leave, then he did what Trent did and just put in like stupid wage demands that we were never going to agree to. I don't feel like 200 grand, if that's, and again it's if, because we can only go on what we're reading. If that's what he's asking for, that's not taking the piss, and it's not a number that he knows he's not going to get, and he's just doing that so he can say, well, couldn't agree a contract and I'm leaving. So I hope it gets done, because, you know, too much upheaval isn't good, and we've changed a lot of players already.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of the amount of change, Jules, is that something that concerns you that we might be going into the new season? Pissed the league last year, would have won it by way more points had we not wrapped it up so quickly as well, and we seem to be sort of it's a much revamped team really. The mainstays are still there, but we're without like 4 or 5 players now who were key components of that title winning squad, and we've replaced them with what seem to be at least 2 to 3 maybe sort of potential certainties in terms of the quality. But do you worry that we're changing too much too soon?
Well, you use the word squad, so it's squad and team, right? Because the midfield's going to be more or less made up of the same components plus Wirtz. Up front, Mo's still going to be there. Gakpo is still going to be there. The only I don't think anyone does anyone think that we weren't going to be selling Jota this summer had what happened not happened, right? I don't think anyone thinks he was going anywhere. So I think we were only ever going to be moving Nunez on, and he has gone, and we've had his replacement. So I don't think there's much change there. It's
Diaz as well.
Diaz played through the middle.
Yes,
most of the
Diaz.
season.
But that's on the assumption that we're not going to sign another forward. The only thing I think with Isak is that maybe it won't get done. It might end up being a Verge thing where, because Newcastle seem to be so incompetent about finding replacements, it might end up being you're not going now, but it'll be done in January thing with Isak. So it might have to be
or after we play them.
Or entirely, it could be that. Yeah,
I don't see them doing it before that game.
No, that is entirely plausible as well, and that's as, in fact, that's probably a certainty. I'd say. Now you've said that. But again, Diaz, they seem to be, as I understand it, if he wanted higher money, they didn't want to pay him, so they were quite happy to let him go. So there aren't really, with the exception of Jota, there's been no real enforced change. They knew Trent was going for months. It's like a planned change with the left back. I don't like squad. There is change. Team, I don't think you'll see that much. I suppose that the core components are still there, as you said, and then the midfield is still the same. So you just don't know until you play. I don't think I think we were all in agreement that the squad, whatever, couldn't stay the same as it was last year because he wasn't using lots of it. So it was always going to change from that, and he was always going to want, and Edwards and Hughes were always going to want to put their own stamp on the squad and team as well. So it was always bound to happen, and change is inevitable. You can't stagnate. We haven't been in this situation before because the last time we won the league, COVID happened, and FSG battened down the hatches when it came to spending, and didn't really. We all wanted to push on, didn't we? What we've done now, and we didn't because they sort of throttled back and went, "Whoa, hang on! There's no income, there's no revenue streams. We're not going to be doing any of that." And so we all felt at the time like we sort of missed the boat a little bit. So I feel like the club definitely feel like this is the time where, okay, we've won the league. We haven't spent in the last few transfer windows. All plans are in place. This is where we push and do the final part of the revamp of the squad that started 2 years ago when we started, when Henderson and Fabinho left. I think this is the final evolution. I don't think you'll see a lot of big transfer windows after this. Maybe 1 or 2 additions, but I think it'll start to be a bit of a quieter business after this. This is the transformational window that they're doing. They obviously think now is the time to do it. They think this is the right time to do it. So it's sort of a plan. It's a planned transition. I would hope that they know what they're doing. I think the first 11, you'll see it's going to be 2 or 3 on the first 11 for the most part. The squad, it's vastly different. How it'll go down, I think will be all right, personally. But I've been wrong about these things before.
Who's the 2 or 3 then? You think
what, the first 11?
2 or 3 new players in the first 11? Who are they?
So, are we saying that everyone's fit here? Because obviously at the moment Bradley is not. So I would say the first 11 is probably Alisson, Bradley, Verge, Kanate, and not my decision, but Kirkes is going to be at left back. I think McGrath is still going to be playing. I think McAllister's still going to be playing. I think probably you're going to see less of Szoboszlai for Wirtz. I still think there's going to be three up front, and it'll be Mo, it'll be Gakpo, and it'll either be Ekitike or it'll be AN another, I would say.
Do you not see, if it was Isak, for example, do you not think Ekitike may end up on the left?
No, I do think that's possible. I do think that's possible. I just don't know if that's their plan. I don't know. I mean, he looks like he looked quite at home out there on the left today when he was interacting with Wirtz. So I think it's entirely plausible. Whether he'll be happy out on the left, different story. But it's entirely possible. But I can only, again, I can't work. I can only work on I'm working on the assumption of what we have in the squad, who is fit. I can't work on the assumption of who we will sign, because that's just, as I said like months ago, I think the Isak deal is a very difficult deal to do. Newcastle have made it sort of simultaneously easier because they've botched everything. They've botched everything with him on a personal level, but harder because they're botching everything else transfer-wise at the club. So I can't say for certain that Isak will be here before the end of the transfer window. So I can only go with what it is. So I would say at the moment it's Ekitike through the middle, Gakpo out wide, and Mo on the right hand side. So there's only from that. There's Kirkes, there's Wirtz, and there's Ekitike. That's three.
Yeah.
So,
okay. Dave, do you think that there'll be a little bit of patience, maybe, while there might be a little bit of period of adapting for this? What is essentially 3 players, 4 players, 5 players? It's a new look team with a slightly tweaked system with a genuine number 10 and 2 fullbacks who look like they're both going to be operating quite high.
Hopefully not, but it's entirely possible that we may not, immediately look great right from the off. And it's not necessarily about individuals not looking great. Like, it's the new lads might all look boss, but it's not quite gelling as a team, because it's like Jules said before, it's like you got to be battle hardened and that, which only comes with being in battles. But we've got a couple of tough games. I'm assuming we'll beat Bournemouth at home. I know it's tempting fate in that because it's not like they're any mugs or anything, but it gets difficult after that, and maybe it's not the best time to be playing. Like, Newcastle away is going to be, they're going to be right up for that because of what's gone on. Then we've got Arsenal as well, but Arsenal's got some new players as well, so they're in a similar position to us. But I think Wirtz is just going to look dynamite right from the off. I've got no issues about him bedding in. Ekitike, so far so good. We don't know. It may take him a while to fully adapt. We don't know. We just have to see. Fullbacks, one of them's got Premier League experience, so knows what to expect. And Frimpong's gonna. I don't think the plan will initially have been Frimpong coming in and being first choice, but out of necessity, that might be the case for the first few weeks. So we'll just have to see how that goes. But if things don't go well in the first few weeks, there's no point getting all like panicking over it, because it will get better. It's obviously it's got to. The more they play together, the better they're going to be. Now, I don't think it's going to be that big a problem because they have been together for quite a while, because we got the deals done early and they've had a good pre-season, other than whoever comes in next. And I still think you're probably looking at 3 more players coming in. But they don't necessarily, if three players come in, they don't necessarily have to go right in the first 11. You can take your time a little bit with them because we've still got enough players. So now I'm expecting us to start the season well, but if there are some teething troubles, it's kind of, I don't think people should be panicking over it, because it's understandable in some ways, because like
it's the money involved as well, isn't it?
Well, yeah,
whether you like it or not.
Yeah, you can go back to the net spend thing. Yeah, we've spent a shitload, but we've also recouped a load. But that doesn't change the fact you've spent a lot on these players. You're expecting them to deliver.
If you're £100 million player, if you're like a close to £80 million player, the net spend bit's irrelevant.
Yeah.
Because that player is worth that, and that's where the sort of you talk about impatience, Chris. That's where it will manifest, right? Like, these players that have cost a lot of money, if they don't start to perform immediately. I think for the most part they will, so I don't think it'll be a big concern. we're not that sort of team anymore, I don't think. But yeah, it's the cost.
I think we'll get into this more in the season preview pod next week, but and I don't want to dwell on it too much either, but I am a little bit uncomfortable with how heavily favoured we are. I don't like that element.
It's unusual, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I don't like this. Like, can we just fly under the radar underdogs like we used to under well, not necessarily underdogs, but the second favourite. I'm happy being the second favourite to win something.
Yeah, it's not a position we're used to being in. Even when we won it last time, and the season before we'd finished second on 99 points, I think, and then we won it the year after. Is that right? Oh no, we had 97 points,
yeah,
and then we won it on 99.
Yeah.
But even then, so we were coming off the back of like a 97-point season, a 99-point season. I don't think we were favourites the year after, were we?
Yeah.
But that's obviously because of the spectre of like the big cheating bastards. But people are writing them off now, and I am as well. But
no,
you're not.
no, I am. I'm not writing them off saying like they're going to be shite or anything like that. I'm writing them off in terms of they're not going to be what they were. But we've still got to go out and do it, haven't we? So I'm more worried about Arsenal than City. I'll say that.
Okay.
But time will tell, I suppose. I do think we should be favourites, but I don't think it's this big foregone conclusion. But yeah, we'll get to this in the preview part.
Just real quick, do you not think City there'll be some sort of bounce back from the awful season they had last year? There's going to be there's going to be
bounce a long way back.
I think they'll be right up there.
Yeah,
right up there.
I do.
I think we'll probably still finish above Arsenal. I think they'll be our closest challengers, though.
This is like people thinking Jason Voorhees is dead at the end of Friday the 13th Part 4. And like, no, that's not how it works.
Defo. Yeah, okay, but we will get into that more on the season preview pod next week, where all of the lads will have a say, make some predictions. Hopefully, we'll have no fence sitting. And who was it who fence sat? Was it Brownie that you was giving pelters to?
Probably.
Yeah.
I can't remember, but yeah, it does sound like Brownie.
Nice. He's not here to defend himself.
No.
So, all right, what else do we need to talk about from today? Or I don't know if you want to get into the Isaac stuff now or save that until later in the week, but I'll leave it up to you.
I can't think of anything I want to talk about less, to be honest.
All right.
I do think
Dave's already decided he hates Isaac.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
But we need to
Hates
talk about
Isaac and all who sails in him.
The minute silence thing, like what happened there.
Look, I think that was inevitable after our fans booed the anthem. It doesn't excuse the behaviour of those few who were disrespectful towards it, but I think I think people were going to do that. I think maybe our fans should have been a little bit more mindful that was coming thereafter, maybe, and maybe just not gone as fucking full on with the booing of the anthem today. Maybe that's like a naive thing for me to say, but I think the reaction that followed was inevitable after we'd gone there with the beloved national anthem.
So I've got a few thoughts on it. Like, initially, I just thought this is a few knobheads, and then people are shouting it down, and it always sounds way worse because a couple of knobheads shout, and then people are going, fucking shut up, and then people start booing the ones who were shouting, and then before you know it, it's just utter carnage. Palace get the benefit of the doubt for me because they've never acted like dickheads before. If this is like Chelsea, I'd be like, oh, look, fucking Chelsea again. Palace have got no history for doing anything like this. I do think maybe the point you made, that crossed my mind as well. But I did see something like a Palace fan was saying the noise coming from under the concourse from people who were coming in. There was problems with the ticket, and then people were locked outside and didn't get in till late because of the organisation at Wembley and stuff like that. And he said, like, there's noise from people coming in, and then people reacted to that, and then people reacted to them making the noise, and it just snowballs, doesn't it? And before you know it, it's got to be, referee's got to cut it short. I just think, why even do it in the first place? Just have a minute's applause. Just that removes it. It removes, like, any potential issues. Now, if you're playing a certain other team, like other teams, you'd be thinking, this is probably not going to go well, do a minute's applause. I think because it's Palace, everyone's like, yeah, it'll be fine. But I also think part of it will be, what's Palace's normal attendance? What, like 25, 30,000, something like that. But Palace have just won a trophy. They've got another day out at Wembley. That attracts hangers on, people who don't normally go, probably been on the ale all day, and that contributes to it as well. Maybe it's not like just your normal Palace crowd. But for me, like I say, Palace get the benefit of the doubt because they've got like pretty impeccable recent history against us, you know, not resorting to all the shite that everyone else does. So I just think that's unfortunate, and it's one of those things where, in hindsight, it's like, why didn't you just have a minute's applause where fans can just sing the song? I think that's far better than having a minute's silence. Nobody wants a minute's silence. Do you think, like, if you said to Jota, would you want fans to have a minute's silence for you, or do you want them singing your name for like before the game? I just feel like it's so outdated now, the minute silence. Just stop it. And because it only takes one dickhead in like 80 odd, 90,000, or however many Wembley holes, one dickhead can ruin a minute's silence. Why even take the risk in doing that? Just have a minute's applause.
I'd imagine it would have been tough for the players as well today as well. Like, they've had a couple of months of this now, and they've got to go out and play after this as well, haven't they? Like, it's all so fresh for them anyway. And then you do want to commemorate it, but there's probably going to be another one next week.
Yeah,
as well.
And then when we play Wolves, there'll be one as well.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's a difficult needle to thread. But I would have definitely not gone with a silence. I think maybe the little video that they play. I think they played the video with some of our fans being interviewed at Wembley. They laid the wreaths before the game. I think that might have been the touches that were necessary today. Yeah, really. But I'm glad I'm not the ones making those decisions either, because it's not an easy thing it's not an easy needle to thread.
Yeah, I just think minute silence. Just retire it. Just don't have it at all.
Jules, you got anything to weigh in on this?
Yeah, I think you're probably right, but you say like the booing the anthem has probably set off a few. You've got to remember that, you know, Liverpool is not England and England is not Liverpool, and people in some parts of England are very proud of their country, like the royal family, very proud of the anthem, and to do that, you're inviting agitation. Now, the only thing I will say is, like, I view booing an anthem as more of a political stance than anything else, and to disrupt a person who has died in rather tragic circumstances, be them a professional footballer or a fan, I just think it's the epitome of, you know, it's appalling behaviour. And I don't really care if you've been on the ale. I don't really care if someone's made what I'm going to term booing the anthem a political point. I mean, it stems from the 80s, and, you know, the English government's treatment of Liverpool fans after Hillsborough, all that kind of stuff. So I view it as more of a political statement than anything else. But that you can't work out that is, if you can't work that out, that's fine. But then to go, oh, you said that, well, I'm just going to boo your dead footballer. I mean, there's a lot of degradation in sort of how British society is these days, unfortunately. Like, the fabric's frayed at the edges quite a lot. There's a decency is missing sometimes in everyday life, and it's really, you know, it's really sad to see. And I get what Dave's saying about, yeah, you should, you know, just retire it. What you're saying, though, really is, like, on one hand, like, I get it. Like, I'm sure Jota would prefer a moment's applause, or even a moment's applause of him, you know, of a clip of him playing of FIFA or that, you know what I mean? I'm sure that's what he would like. However, you should be able to do a minute's silence and not have someone interrupt it and not be a prick about it. And the thing is, like, because these people who interrupt these things, they have no empathy with it. Because if you were to say, all right, it's like, you know, a family member of yours has died, right? Oh, your sister's died, your mum's died, right? Good, glad that happened. They'd be living. You go, that's the same thing you've just done. You've just disrespected the guy's memory. For what reason? Like, did we do something that offended you? Fair enough. I tell you what, when the game starts, shout Liverpool are cunts, or Scousers are full of shit, or whatever you want to shout, because that is fine. But just to make it up and going, oh, you've booed our anthem about our king, not having that, right? We're going to just make sure that the guy who died tragically just 6 weeks ago, we're going to make sure that that's disrupted. It's just mental that you would even square that circle. It is not a circle that can be squared. And it's just too many football fans get into a collective crowd and believe that they can do whatever they want. It gives them carte blanche to call whoever they want, whatever they want at any time. It doesn't. It's not acceptable. And as soon as society gets back into a place where it goes, no, that's not acceptable, what are you doing? But at the moment, society is not in that place. Society is in a place where you can say or do whatever you want, and people go, it's my right to my freedom of speech. It's like, I mean, that's not what freedom of speech really is, but okay, that's where we are right now. I was very disappointed with Palace fans. I'm sure they couldn't give a shit. Fair enough. But like, I just listen. If having a pint makes you a cunt, you were still a cunt before the pint. And that, like,
yeah,
and
that's all true.
And all the alcohol has done is magnify it. All right, so it's not you're an adult. I'm sure they were. If they're old enough to have a pint, they're old enough to know better. Behave yourselves. There's no excuse for it. I don't care about if you don't like us booing the anthem. That's fair enough. Call us all the knobheads under the sun when the game starts that you want, and chant that we're knobheads. Sing the national anthem back at us that fans want to do. That's fine. It's fair game. I have no problem with it. I don't consider it fair game. The guy's like, it's 6 weeks. What are we doing? What are you doing? Think about what you're doing with your life. Is this it? No.
The thing is, though, if that game was played at Selhurst Park, I don't think that happens.
I don't buy that. No, because you're giving them a pass there, right?
I know I am, because why wouldn't I? There's nothing
but they
in their
did
history
it.
to suggest.
It happened.
Did
right?
it though? But like, what happened? That's all I'm saying is what happened.
What happened?
You get a lot of people. Someone's making a noise, and then others are like, "Oh, shut up."
Look,
and then,
I've been at Anfield.
Carnage.
I've been at Anfield with minute silences, and there have been loud. Not. I mean, taking away the fact that I don't get how people don't have the situational awareness to like be walking into a library or a cinema or anywhere that's quiet and walk in and just talk at a normal volume and not go, it's a bit quiet. You better be quiet. Better like lower the volume. I mean, the people that don't have that situational awareness, I don't understand that. That you would walk into a football ground and go, it's a bit quiet. Anyway, I'll carry on talking at my normal volume and I'll go, what's going on in here? I won't think, hang on a second, what's a bit weird? I don't get that. And I'm not buying that just because Palace have a few more tickets and have won a cup, there's suddenly a gang of knobheads that have joined them that now boo. No, I'm not having that.
You do get like people who can't normally get
Look,
tickets for home games. Their average crowd is less than what they had today.
I'm not condemning all Crystal Palace fans. I'm with you. I think Palace. I've said, like you, I have sung from the same hymn sheet. I think Palace fans are some of the best to come to Anfield. When we won the league last, raised the trophy, I've said probably on this pod, there's no better fans to be there because they won't be dickheads about it. It'll be great. So I'm not condemning them all. It's not because again, to do that would also to be pointless and it would be hyperbole. What I'm saying is those people that did it, the dickheads. They deserve to be called dickheads, and we shouldn't have to change a minute's silence to a minute's applause because people can't behave themselves because they can't be respectful for 1 minute. The fact that the referees know that they have, as soon as they hear it, it's like, oh, we just blow this up and end this because it's going wrong. Football fans need to all give the Reds a wobble collectively. Just show a bit of respect for 60 seconds, a little bit of humility. It's not that hard.
It's not, but you're saying that as like a normal, rational person.
We are all normal and rational, but when
Society's
football fans
just
get
not like that anymore.
But I know that, I've said that, but again, when football fans get into collectives, they're suddenly big hard bastards who can say whatever they want to whoever they want. Just give your heads a wobble. Just have a think for a minute. It's not that hard to give 60 seconds silence.
They're not going to, though. That's the point.
Then they should be shown to be the dickheads that they are.
Slot was quite diplomatic about it, wasn't he? Though, did you see his quotes?
I haven't seen it. No.
He said he thinks it was accidental. He said, I don't think this was planned or that it was the idea of the fan that made some noise. Maybe he wasn't aware of the fact that it was the minute of silence. He was just happy and tried to cheer for his team. And I think that the fans of Palace were trying to calm that person or those persons down. So I don't think he had any bad intentions, the guy or people that made the noise.
So
good words from
one
Slot,
guy started
good
it
words.
then? Is that what he
Well, he doesn't know that.
Shouted.
He's trying to calm the situation.
Yeah.
But again, that's top word. You're right.
Yeah, but he's in the stadium, so if one person shouts out, he's going to hear that, and then you hear people reacting to that.
Yeah, that's what he said
necessarily
as
come
well.
across on the telly though, does it? You just
Let me-
hear like
let me-
a lot of noise.
Let me complete the quote. He said, "They tried to calm him down, but that was a bit noisy as well. And then our fans reacted, 'Hey, what's happening here?' So I don't think there is bad intention to it because the fans of Crystal Palace and everywhere around the world have paid huge respect to Diogo and Andre, and I think this was unlucky, or I can't find the right words, but I don't think there was a bad intention in it."
Great words from him. Can't fault him for that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
again, he's been great throughout the whole thing, though, to be fair to the guy.
He has.
It's such a tough situation, and he's been excellent. So,
Yeah.
and I hope,
think
you know
we've-
what, sorry, Chris, I
Go
just
ahead.
want to say, I hope that is the truth. I hope that is the truth. I hope that is what happened. But I still don't think we should have to stop. We shouldn't do a minute silence because we can't rely on people not to be pricks. People just need to stop being pricks about it. You know, that's the end of the
Applause
matter.
is better than silence anyway, though. I just feel like it's outdated and we should move on from that now. Especially because these things happen regularly.
Yeah, because people, yeah, I mean, again, as I said, British society at the moment is just, it's fraying at the edges. There's lots of people who think they can do what they want, say what they
It's
want.
difficult to ruin a minute's applause. It's not impossible because we've seen it with what the Celtic fans did with one of the funniest clips of all time. Like, if you hate the royal family, clap your hands. And everyone in the stadium's clapping, including the mascots and everything. It's just amazing stuff. But like, generally speaking, it's a lot harder to ruin a minute's applause.
Definitely. All right. Well, let's hope Slot's right, because it would be a shame to sort of ruin that what it appears to be quite cordial relationship between our sets of fans. I'd imagine John G's pretty upset tonight about it all, given his regard for Palace and Palace fans.
Yeah, but honours even in the game, so he was happy in his half and half scarf.
Nice.
He's wearing a Liverpool shirt in the first half, and then he put a Palace shirt on for the second, so he won twice today.
Nice. Oh, that's nice. Well done, John. Okay, have we got anything else that we need to talk about, or you guys want to leave it there?
Nothing springs to mind now.
Julian?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Just
good stuff.
okay. So, who impressed today then? Because other than Ekitike and Wirtz, I think that's all I've got. Anyone else? Oh, I
Alison.
thought Dom was good for a while until he wasn't, and Dom's been probably our best player over pre-season as a whole. In that deeper role, I think he's been really, really good.
Yeah, no arguments from me.
And
I thought
I'm not as
Alisson
big
was
as
good.
fan, but credit where it's due. I feel like he's suited to that role more, and I think he's been our best player. Him and Gamoa, the two best players in pre-season.
Yeah, you wanted to get. I know you felt sort of quite strongly that he should have been brought on today. I think we talked about it before we came on air, rather than during the pod itself.
No, I think we mentioned it early on, but never got back to it. But yeah, I just think, why wouldn't you put him on? You know, it's still a friendly. It's not like we're playing a game with like loads riding on it, and you'd think, oh, I don't want to take the risk. It's like, why wouldn't you let him just build on the momentum he's got from the last few games he's played? Just found it really strange that he didn't come on, especially because we were short on forwards and we ended up with no striker on the pitch. Cody wasn't having a great game. It's like, well, why not just throw the kid on and just let him have a run around at Wembley, see what he can do?
Yeah.
Didn't get it at all. I can't think of any logical reason for not doing it, but is what it is.
Is what it is. I can't imagine that he'll be involved in the Premier League at all. Do you think?
I think ability-wise, he's shown like if you had to put him in and play him, he'd be fine. Yeah. But you do have to be careful physically because the reaction that players have, like, the physicality aspect of it and what it can do to them, you got to be so careful because you don't want him being like 18, 19 and then he's out for a year with you look at what happened to Bajcetic. Even Jayden Danns, he's not played much, but he's had like growing pains, back issues and that. I've seen Jayden Danns like when he come on in the friendly, I'm like, fucking hell, the size of him now. He's really like grown and filled out, but that in itself causes problems with young players as well. So you do have to be careful how many games you give them and stuff like that. But I mean, in terms of what he's shown ability wise, yeah, if he had to play, you wouldn't have any qualms about him coming in. But I do think they will have to be careful just because of his age.
Yeah, definitely. And it doesn't feel like it's in Slot's nature as well to go down that route in terms of like putting a 16-year-old in the first team. I think he's got too much. He places a lot of emphasis on players' deficiencies as well as their strengths, and there will be like some sort of tactical immaturity and footballing immaturity as well that would suggest to me that he wouldn't put a 16-year-old kid in the team.
Yeah, but today, I mean, different story.
Yeah.
I don't know why you wouldn't play him today.
Yeah, definitely. All right, well, another game to look forward to. I'm glad that the season's back, guys. Like, I've really fucking struggled this summer. Just the Florida summers are brutal anyway, but knowing I'm not coming home for a couple of months yet and stuff, and I'm just looking forward to getting back into the rhythm of having a focal point to the weekends and then something in midweek to sort of carry you through and that kind of stuff, because it's felt like a long old summer without the footy, even though there was that tournament, the World Club Cup thingy and the Women's Euros as well. But
I didn't watch
glad
a
the real
minute
stuff
of
is
either.
back. No,
not 1 minute of either. So yeah, there hasn't been any footy for me this summer.
Nice. You glad it's back?
I will be when I get to Anfield on Friday night. Yeah, I can't say
I
I'm
won't be.
sitting here
Fucking
going,
Friday
can't
night
wait,
kickoff.
can't wait. But when it comes around, yeah, it will be.
Yeah. Jules, what do you say then?
Fucking Friday. No, I'm not. Friday night kickoff's fucking not.
Yeah, it's not ideal
Friday.
for you.
It's a minimum 3-hour drive. It just becomes an absolute slog. The only thing is like schools are out, so at least there's no school traffic. But it's just an absolute slog trying to get across on a Friday. And it's quite warm here at the moment. It's going to be warm all next week. But you're robbing us of like a sunny day because we got to go at night. So yes, it might be like a nice evening, but I would like a nice warm sunny day to start the season.
Nice.
I'm getting robbed of that
A
as
nice
well.
sort of Anfield sunset to look forward to. Hey, mind you, you can't see the bastard over that new Anfield Road end now. It's like you used to have a great little view of the sunset over the city when it was a little bit smaller, but from my seat anyway. But yeah. Anyway, I'm excited it's back, and I won't be there Friday, but I'm excited for you guys to see everybody and get to the ground and get a look at this new look team for yourselves. We will be back at some point this week for a full-on season preview pod where the lads will be chipping in, the whole crew, in one way, shape or form, and we'll have some predictions for you and look ahead to the new season and what we can expect. Defeat for the Reds today in a penalty shootout and the Community Shield, but some positives to look forward to as well. So we'll be back later in the week. Thanks to Dave, thanks to Jules, and we'll catch you soon.